It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It is the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
You know the answer to that question. Yeah, you know the answer to that, and I'm pleading the fifth. Or pleading for a fifth, one or the other. Fifth sounds pretty good right about now.
Fifth, sixth, whatever it took.
Hey, I won't be picky, and eighth will be fine, too. Or 10th.
We need to get closer to whole numbers. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that works.
We need a whole one.
Oh, I hope everybody out there is doing okay. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well, I think I was sick last show, so that got worse. If you can tell, you know. Yeah, I wound up getting COVID, which it wasn't as bad as I guess the last time I had it, so yay. But not even a day after testing negative for COVID, I turned around and tested positive for the flu. So,
because
yay.
Liz doesn't do shit with half measures. She is all in.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I went big and went home.
Mm-hmm. You can do both. It's okay.
Right, I did. Yeah, I slept for about a week there. So, I did get a chance to, I think I watched some shows. I was like, yeah, I'm in bed. I can get caught up on everything. No, it's kind of like halfway in and out kind of thing. I can't even tell you what I watched half the time. I think the Twilight Zone was on there for a while.
When you're in that state of mind, everything looks like the Twilight Zone, right?
Pretty much.
But I think they had a marathon, so that was pretty cool, you know. But
whatever it was, right?
Right, you know.
So
part of what we're talking about tonight, I tried to read that. Now, when you've got to, yeah, we'll get into that later, but.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, reading this under being a little bit impaired, not being a little bit under the weather. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a struggle.
It was a little bit of a challenge. I can understand that.
But yeah, I was trying to get caught up on The Last Kingdom. I think that's on Netflix? Yes, I think it's on Netflix, but the show just finished its 5th season, and it's its last season because there's 10 books. I can't even remember the author's name right now, but he's got 10 books that they adapted into five seasons. So that's wrapped up, but in order to adapt, I think 2 books was left untouched. So they're going to make a movie about the last 2 books and kind of wrap up everything in a nice, pretty bow. I can't say the show was canceled because it wasn't. It was only planned for 5 seasons.
It wasn't canceled. They just ran out of material.
Right. There was no more books. But, I mean, they did have 2 more books. That's why they're doing the movie. But they said until this guy, you know, it follows Uhtred, and I think they've pretty much done what they can with his story. They've told us his story. It's been a pretty interesting story. I guess like anything, once I get into watching it, I started wanting to know the difference between what was just fiction and what was actually history of what was going on. And it is kind of neat because the guy who wrote these books, God, I wish I could remember his name. He did a really good job of staying with history. They said there was probably someone like Uhtred, but it wasn't him. So, he is completely fiction in this story, but the story is basically how England came to be and, the Saxons versus the Danes kind of thing. So history side of this movie's been pretty cool. I've always kind of been fascinated with this time period. I guess everything's new and raw and, I don't know, not quite medieval, but still.
It's still pretty medieval.
Right.
This is like before medieval.
Well, there was like one scene where they're looking for him and he hides underneath the floorboards of the house. And, of course, Phil's like, nah. It's like, no, but think about it. I said, this is before hiding under the floorboards was a thing. Not many people did that. Most people didn't even have floors. It was dirt. I said, so that was pretty cool. I said, but it was people like him who started doing it that now you're like, someone's missing the floorboards. Mm-hmm. I said, so during this time, that wasn't common, But it's also kind of neat, the religious aspects that was thrown into this. And, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a cult. Any way you look at it. So, but like I said, it is kind of interesting because it is the beginning of England and, they were very heavily into Catholicism. And of course you had the Danes who were, they believe in Valhalla and Thor. So it's kind of neat, not just on a race kind of war, but more of a religious kind of one. And that's mainly what this was, is people disagreeing with each other on if it's gods or God and, crazy. Too many people have died over that. But yeah, like I said, it's pretty interesting. It is on Netflix if you want to catch it. It just finished. I would not suggest Googling anything because it's full of spoilers right now because the show just did, finish its season. So, but yeah, if you like that kind of thing, it's cool. But that's the only thing that I can really think that I remember. I watched.
You didn't tune in on the Jensen Ackles birthday bash?
Did I miss his birthday?
Sounds like.
Oh, man. No, I saw he released another song at one of the cons that he did. But I missed the birthday bash. Damn. I know. Oh,
not a fan.
Yeah. Take my card.
Mm-hmm.
There goes your membership.
Yeah.
I suppose if you slept for the last week, you don't know about the new Alien Overlords thing either.
Wait a minute. Okay, his birthday isn't until March. I knew I hadn't forgotten his birthday. I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, but you had to look it up, didn't you?
Oh,
Not a fan.
I made me question myself.
Not a fan. Worst fan ever.
Right. Oh, my God. Speaking of, I don't know if you guys saw it in Discord, but Bruce Campbell is doing a Bruce-a-rama, which is kind of his tour. It's supposed to be like a game night where it's the last fan standing kind of deal. I guess it's supposed to be like trivia about his different movies and that kind of stuff. And then I think here they're doing Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. Well, before Army of Darkness, he'll answer like a big Q&A about it and everything else, and then they'll play the movie. And then they said something afterwards, but it kind of looks like more of the meet and greet kind of thing with him. So two different showings. I thought that was pretty cool. And he doesn't make it down this way very often. So yeah, if you're a fan of Bruce Campbell, I mean, tickets aren't that expensive. It looks like it's at the Texas Theater, and they're $47 a piece. So for a night out, games and movies, and hell, just Bruce Campbell, that's not bad.
Nope.
Yeah, so pretty cool. And like I said, that's Bruce Arama. I think it's all of the information is definitely on his website. I'll link the ticket place because it's not until March or April. See, you guys got March on my brain now. It's not till April, so.
Got March? No, we didn't say anything about March. I don't remember.
It's his birthday.
we didn't make you march
Yeah.
while you were sick. We totally didn't do that.
Oh, not at all.
Doesn't sound like she believes us, guys.
You guys
Wow.
made me question myself once.
That's why we're here.
Alrighty then, Mikey.
Okay, well, I have not been sick, so my story is not nearly as sad as Liz's. I have not been entirely well either. But that's because we're having an unexpected bout of consistent weather for this part of the country. Normally, I think the joke is that the problem with Texas is that there's 47 seasons. I honestly don't believe this. I have my own theories, but that's another show. But yeah, so for like 3 weeks now, we've just been in this horrible spring-like mode. And I say horrible because pollen counts have been absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so basically, even if you don't have allergies in this part of the country right now, you have allergies because the trees won't stop screwing.
Right.
It's a friggin' tree
Urban
orgy
air.
up in here, I'm telling you. And they ain't even private about it. It's an orgy.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Spray car and everything else down with it.
oh my God, yeah, you walked a good. Oh, it's awful. But yeah, so that's just screwed with my sleep patterns. That's all for weeks now. But I did actually manage to watch a documentary in the downtime here. And it's one that I kind of went outside my usual box for this. It was one I kind of didn't. I can't say that I had any reason to pick it, but I picked it anyway just because, I don't know, I figured it might be interesting. It is called Making Montgomery Clift. And it came out in 2018, and it was written and directed by Clift's nephew, Robert. If you're not familiar, Montgomery Clift was an actor back in like the 50s and 60s, even back into the 40s.
Yeah.
And he was nominated for Oscars like 4 times, but has kind of fallen into obscurity a little bit at this point. And honestly, that actually isn't what this documentary is about. This documentary is about the fact that in his lifetime, there were 2 separate biographies written about him, which he didn't care one way or the other about. But his brother, Brooks, who actually acted as a main source for one of them, was absolutely furious about the fact that they just didn't paint the picture properly. They didn't explain Montgomery Clift's life particularly well. For the most part, they painted him as this tortured soul, which he was not, according to his brother, who else would know? I mean, and so it was his brother fought like tooth and nail for several years to get especially the one biography reprinted with like corrections, and it just didn't happen. And I mean, it's also one of those odd deals where apparently Montgomery Clift's brother was in the military and was like in one of the intelligence agency type parts of the military. And so he kept unbelievably meticulous records of everything. I mean, nearly every part of his own life. I mean, this guy in the like 40s and 50s was recording every phone call he ever made. And so there are recordings of him and his brother having conversations. And apparently Clift himself did this some too, probably picked up the habit from his brother. And so there's recordings of him talking to people that he just recorded the phone call. I mean, no reason to do it and all that. And so there's this huge wealth of just conversations with this guy that without a doubt proved that he was not tortured in any way. I mean, he was eccentric. I mean, he was basically didn't hide the fact that he was clearly bisexual in a time period when that was very, very taboo. And he didn't really hide it. And so his biographers just wrote him off because he actually, the part of the deal is he died fairly young. He died at 45 of a heart attack, or what the biographers like to call an apparent heart attack, because, you know, they want to believe that he was this tortured soul, which there's not really any real evidence that he was. And that is rather than talking about his movies, I mean, his movies get mentioned and his acting gets mentioned because it's a big part of his personality. But this documentary is very different in that it's about a Hollywood actor, but it's not about his Hollywood life. It's not about his career. It's about him as a person. So that makes it interesting. And it's admittedly not a terribly happy story, but it's a really interesting one. So definitely worth checking out. It is on Tubi.
Okay.
Interesting.
It's got some interesting. They've got some interesting interviews in this too. Some interesting people that they're talking to. It's cool. I guess I talked about it because it surprised me. Because it was, like I said, very different from what I was expecting.
Right.
But yeah.
Sounds interesting.
Yep. Okay, Les.
I've got a couple things. First, I watched a documentary on Netflix, and I don't know if we said this before, but it's called The Hatchet-Wielding Hitchhiker. And yes, it is a documentary about a guy who gains fame by attacking a man who was trying to harm some women. He attacked the semi-rapist with a hatchet, planted 3 blows to the guy's head, 2 with the blunt edge, the third he struck him with the sharp edge. The man survived, but
Yowie.
the press just exploded on this. Thought this was the greatest hero of all time. But I'm going to say that you need to watch this. This is fascinating. how he's really an unknown, just a guy that hitchhikes and crashes at different places, has no stability per se. But it was really good, really well done, and it's, like I said, it's on Netflix, so it's well worth the time to check out.
Yeah, this just came out. This just
Yeah.
came out on the 10th.
And we do love us a good vigilante story.
Mm.
Me too.
The second item is a book I read by David Curry. Curry is a man from England, and he wrote a book called Ditko Shrugged. This is a fascinating story about Steve Ditko, starting with his early career, and then stepping into Marvel and doing Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. But it's kind of unusual. You look back and you go, Spider-Man was the comic book for so long, but he didn't stay with Marvel all that long.
Mm-mm.
He did, for Spider-Man, I think he did around 30 issues.
Yeah, around there.
So he essentially got fed up with what was going on at Marvel. He was not a person that would go out and meet the public. He was very confined to his own house. He didn't go to the Marvel offices all that much. He would go, turn his work in, and leave. But this book is mainly correspondence between Ditko and Curry. And you get a lot of breakdown as to how the comic industry was being run by both Marvel and DC. Ditko mainly liked to work with Charlton, and he had several creations there. So it may seem laborious to read, but then all of a sudden you get this clip of one of Ditko's companions, and they give you more background about Ditko and the whole of the comic industry. It's just really good, solid work. It's only about 140 pages, and of that, there are several pages of Ditko's work. Some of it was printed, some of it was just raw. I really liked it. I thought this was a big boon to the industry. It is by Hermes Press, so I recommend it. If you can find a copy, pick it up, read it. It's a fun read.
Yeah, I just saw that there's a few copies still available on Amazon. So,
Luckily, I got it through one of the stores, local stores here.
Oh, that's good.
Cool. Yeah, that's interesting to get inside Ditko's head a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely want to check it out. Yep.
The man knew a lot, that's for sure.
That will be interesting to read. excuse me, for me, not a whole heck of a lot of life stuff's been going on, but I laugh about it now. I kind of accidentally did this, and through the process, I'm going, I seem to be doing this every January. I see it. I seem to see a trend here. I am currently on a MASH binge. I'm watching the classics show MASH.
Why January?
It just, I don't know. I saw it on, and I started watching it, and the next thing I know, it's a couple hours later. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing this.
Did you see the first episode?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they even show the movie finale, Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen.
Yeah.
So yeah, they show all of them.
Yeah, they never show the original movie though.
Yeah, they never add the movie. But
It's
yeah.
it's a different animal.
Oh yeah, well I understand, but still.
It's fun, but it's a different experience.
Yeah. But it's kind of fun going back and watching some of that, and just because I'm pretty sure I said this when we covered the show a couple years back, or a year or two back. This was not a show I watched when it was originally on. There was just something. It's something that just didn't appeal to me. But now, but as I got older and started kind of watching some of the episodes, I'm like, hey, this is some really good writing and some pretty good acting and all that, and these are enjoyable characters. So I mean, yeah, you could see why it lasted for 11 seasons, and probably could have kept on going.
Yeah, I think they could only stretch out the 3-year-long Korean War for so long.
True.
Well, because I was doing a little research while, of course, I do this while I'm watching this, and I kind of went down a little bit of the Aftermath show, which obviously I didn't watch that either. If I didn't watch the original show, I was going to watch the spinoff.
I don't think a whole lot of people watched it.
Yeah, well, it lasted 2 seasons.
All right.
But from what I read, part of the problem is they didn't know how they were going to handle it. It seemed like they wanted to kind of continue the whole dramedy format and kind of deal with some subjects that would be kind of difficult. But it also sounds like they didn't want to do that either. So it's like they wanted to. It sounds like essentially CBS wanted to still continue to cash in on MASH's popularity. And from what I read, Harry Morgan, William Christopher, and Jamie Farr were like the only ones who wanted to continue doing MASH. Everybody else wanted to move on, so that's why they are part of the show, the Aftermath show, because they wanted to continue those characters and keep doing it. Because it sounds like they took it to a vote. It's like the cast did a vote. Do we keep doing MASH, or hey, let's end this and move on? And everybody else pretty much said let's move on, except for those three.
Everybody else had been there the whole time, or nearly everybody else had been there the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Alda was there from day one. So was Loretta Swit, although she wasn't in every episode. But Alda was. And of course, he wrote a bunch of them and directed a bunch of them. So yeah, I could see him
if
going.
he's not on board, then
Yeah.
it's probably really time to give it up. But
Yeah. Well,
hindsight,
yeah. So I would like to check the show out. I'm sure it's horrible, but just to see, kind of a morbid curiosity. So that's probably next once I get through this, because 11 seasons is a lot.
It's a lot of episodes, right?
Because you're talking about back in the days when a season was 24, 25 episodes. And granted, these are 20 to, well, maybe 25, 26 minutes long. Still, you're talking a lot of hours.
Hours and hours and hours, right?
Mm-hmm. So.
I personally enjoyed Aftermash.
Okay.
I thought it was a decent show, and having the same characters.
Well,
it was a pretty good coup.
Well, if they see, because and I'm basing all this information from what I'm reading on Wikipedia, so take it for what it's worth.
Sure.
But it sounded like they wanted to deal with some topics, and I'm like, well, you have a Lebanese man married to a Korean woman. There's some stuff that can be dealt with. The vets coming home from the war and trying to be reintegrated back into society. That's stuff that's still dealt with today.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking
way more publicly today than it was then, for sure.
Yeah. Well, but MASH dealt with some stuff that wasn't really talked about a lot too. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to add that they did that, but they did it under the context of a different war, which honestly made them. That's basically why they got away with it.
Yeah, because you're dealing with a war, but now you don't have that war. It may be a little bit harder. That's a good point.
Right,
and
it's a serious issue. They're dealing with serious issues, and big kudos to them for doing it or even trying. So I'm not frowning on it at all.
Right.
They've been getting away with that for a while. To continue doing it might not have been so easy. You're basically reselling a new series that is based on the old series, which was super successful, but the executives are going to be wary.
Yeah, it would have been tougher to kind of deal with some of that stuff. It's just like with we've talked about before about with Roddenberry and Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
They got away with a lot of stuff because because
it was aliens.
It was covered up by, hey, we're in space and we're dealing with these creatures and all that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yep.
You take that out and then it'd just be like a straight drama, then it wouldn't have done as well.
It wouldn't have made it on the air.
It wouldn't have made it on the air, right? True. Yeah.
No chance in hell.
So yeah. Like I said, I hadn't tried to locate it yet, but I am kind of curious to see how. The thing is reading about that, I found out that they had done a pilot for a show called Walter. It was going to be a spin-off of Radar.
Right.
But they did like one episode and they're like, yeah, this ain't going to work, which honestly, the premise is, he's back. He had already come back to America. Did that back there in season 8 of the show, and was forced to sell the farm, and then is now a cop. Oh boy, who thought of this.
Steven Seagal did it.
We could argue all day about how well, but yeah.
Oh, no. There's no arguing. It was pathetic.
But a series where Radar is a cop. Okay. I don't see it. I don't understand what the thinking was, but I understand you not wanting to do the farm thing. You still say you sell the farm and who knows what you want to do with him.
You might be surprised at how many military folks go into police work afterwards.
Well, yeah, but no, I'm not arguing that. I'm just arguing about him.
It seems unlikely, but
that is not a character that I think is cop material. But well, at least out on the streets, if he's working in offices, because that was his strength.
Oh yeah, he was an administrative genius.
Yes. So if you wanted to go that route, then okay. But if he's out walking the beat,
but a cop show about the guy who works in the archive is not as much fun as you might think, probably.
Well, no, I totally
That's
agree.
the downside.
Think Barney in Ottumwa.
What?
Did I get you to scratch your head or something?
I scratched a lot of parts of my body at that point, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Barney. Who's Barney?
Purple dinosaur?
Barney Fife.
Oh.
my initial when he said Barney, where my brain jumped was Barney Miller, and I'm thinking, boy, an older Radar would have been an awesome addition to that show. Of course, it was before it was running at the same time as MASH, but
yeah,
wouldn't have worked. But anyway,
continue, Les.
Way off.
I think I made my point.
Okay. All right. Excuse me. Before we get into this week's discussion, I do want to point out that we do have a Discord that y'all are more than welcome to come join us. If you want to hang out with us, we post a lot of news items, stuff for discussion, videos, trailers, some stuff, the music,
random
memes.
shit.
Yeah, we do a lot of random shit. So, does that sound like fun to you? Come join us. It's free to sign up. It's in every app store. We do have open invitation on our homepage, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Do it today.
Yeah. I mean, or tomorrow if it's like too late at night, or if you're driving the car or something. Don't stop driving the car. But when you get where you're going.
Stop driving the car and join our Discord.
Well, yeah, just don't do it while you're driving the car, because that's dangerous.
Be the first in your block.
Don't text and drive, kids. That's the whole point of this whole show. 320 whatever episodes. Don't text and drive. Not really, but you know what I mean.
Anywho.
Now I'm scratching body parts. What the hell?
I gotta try to keep up, man.
What a great visual.
Hey, we cannot be. It is not our fault if you're picturing him doing it naked. That's not our problem. That's not on us.
Hey, I didn't say anything about naked. I just said it was a great. What a great visual.
Yeah, but now you can't stop thinking about it.
And neither can you.
Right. That's why I shared. But anyway,
Oh, God.
For my legion of fans, I am not naked.
That we know.
That we can prove.
Yeah.
Wow.
we're not turning on cameras to find out either, by golly.
You know, friends are great.
Hours of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Just like our Discord.
Yes.
Trying
exactly.
like hell to bring it back to on track.
Why at this point?
I don't know.
It's
a
bravo
challenge.
for trying.
It's a
Bravo
challenge.
for trying. Yeah. Somebody needed to, because obviously I wasn't. All right. This should be a fun, interesting discussion. Kind of wanted to bring up a concept that I know a lot of it was done in the 70s, and then they brought back the idea a few years back, and it's taken off real well. I'm trying to remember. I know there's a few issues back in the 50s, 60s where they would have the son of Batman, or they would have the son of Superman, some such like this. But it really wasn't until the early 70s in World's Finest that they actually came up with the Super Sons, the teenage sons of Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent, who are in the shadow of course, of their superhero dads, and are wanting to basically be superheroes and kind of do their own thing as well. And how many issues were there? I thought there was about 11, something like that.
Their
Okay.
issues or issues in the story?
Our issues are entirely countless.
So, and the thing, going back and going over this again, I had thought these were imaginary stories, which was a concept back then that I'm sure people who've not gone back and read comics from the 50s or 60s or 70s may be alien-ish, a totally foreign thing to them. But think of Elseworld tales, except for they were actually in the run of the books. It just out of this month, hey, it's an imaginary story, and it will say it right there on the splash page that this is an imaginary story, and then you'll just go through and read the story, and then next month it's going to be back into supposedly the regular continuity. But this is not. They never claimed that, and there was a resolution on how they dealt with it and all that. But let's talk a little about the Super Sons. I would like to get your ideas or your thoughts about these groovy stories.
Wow. Hang on.
Wow, Liz speechless.
Wow.
It's got to be a first.
Okay, let's move to Les then. If Liz is trying to get her thoughts together, that's okay.
Right.
Diane, I'm not getting in on that. Go ahead.
When I first started reading this, I had to stop, and I had to make sure I was reading the right thing first. But I didn't realize.
She can be taught, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
Making that mistake the third time.
Only third? Come on now.
I didn't realize the stories were that old. What are these from 79?
No, these
As
were like
early as
early
73.
70s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The stories themselves were cute. I say cute. I it made me appreciate the Super Sons now. I like that they didn't go. The news stories didn't go with a Clark Kent Jr. and a Bruce Jr. because that got a little confusing sometimes in the story. Especially the first story. The first story starts off with them in a casket, and Batman and Superman are behind Batman and Superman in a casket, and it's kind of like, wait a minute, what the hell's going on? And when did Alfred get that old? See, you find out later that's not Alfred. Yeah, like that was kind of like, I wish the names would have been different. I think out of all the stories that were told, the first one was the most confusing. I didn't get the whole Second City, fake city, Hercules guy. I didn't get that too much. But I liked the Iceman story. That one was kind of interesting. Was that their second or third adventure out? I can't remember. Pretty early in.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't understand is you have this. Yeah, I mean there was a lot, but you had the son of Bruce Wayne, billionaire, and you had Clark Kent, who, it showed his home. He's in a modest home and everything else, but they had to share one motorcycle for like 5 stories. That was kind of weird.
See, that's where this started reminding me of when we did the Green Lantern Green Arrow run that we read like a year ago. It really felt like that to me. That it happened to be these non-characters instead. I mean, whatever, but
Yeah.
I mean, and those weren't bad. I mean, this was. I mean, again, we had the same problem that we had back then with, like you say, the language.
Yeah.
And how you get white guys at the far reaches of middle age trying to sound hip and cool.
Yeah.
When all it really sounds like is they're ripping off the 66 Batman series. And it was just about as campy as that, although not nearly as well written. But
well, and it aged it.
Yeah, it dated it really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean the individual stories were good. They were interesting, but yeah, it was couched in a lot of weirdness.
Well, and how many times was Batman and Superman, well, and even the juniors, going to fake their death? That was like every other story, so that kind of got, he's not dead, That was kind of...
Yeah, they were setting up the end of that a little too hard, I think, at
that
point.
Well, and like I said, after the third or fourth time, it just kind of felt lazy to me, Mm-hmm. There was a way to tell a story without killing their dads. Although I did like the one... well, that was kind of weird, too. Batman was in on seal murdering. What a club. I didn't get that at all. And it was like, I don't know, was seal hunting not illegal back then? Or was it okay because it was the Eskimos eating it? Or I don't know. To me, that whole story was just kind of, what?
Oddly, I didn't do research on clubbing baby seals. didn't really occur to me, but to each his own.
And then to find out Batman made like $5 million in the 70s off this.
Right, that was $5 million was a lot of money back then too.
It was a lot of money back then. But I did like that they brought Robin into that story. That was kind of cute, you know.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
But I think all the characters, Robin, Juniors, and both Batman and Superman all kind of looked the same. So that also kind of made it hard when it was like, okay, is this the sons now or is this the dads? You know? Oh
Yes.
no, that's their friend. Oh, that's Brucey baby.
And you can't rely on the language being used because that won't help you either.
You're right. They weren't very good at drawing those lines either. But yeah.
Well, and they definitely made it that Bruce was the hip, oh, Clark baby, that's cool and hip. And you could tell that they tried a little harder not to make Clark like that. I'm trying to remember the show now.
You mean he was more of a Boy Scout type?
He was. As much
Wow.
as he didn't want to be,
Go figure.
he was, you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
a little bit more educated than what Bruce's son was. Well, I shouldn't say that. It seemed like Bruce Jr. was a little more cooler in school than Clark was.
He was a little more of a playboy,
Yeah,
while Clark Jr. was a little more of a Boy Scout.
yeah.
Which
Yeah.
sort of makes sense. It actually, I think it might have been more interesting if they'd done it the other way around. But what do I know?
Like when they switched dads, that was.
The dad switching thing. That was.
Yeah.
That one was a bit of a stretch, but yeah.
And my favorite pictures where they're carrying the Batmans. Oh, jeez. I think I even clipped it. That one made me laugh, so. Like piggyback.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. I have this statue. I think it's a Q-Fig. That's Superman flying and he's holding Batman. But Batman's got his arms crossed and you can tell he's like pissed about the whole thing. And then you see this one and it's like, yeehaw, Clark. Ride him, cowboy.
Right. You want to take one of those word bubbles and replace it with the text. If you use those spurs again, Bruce, I swear.
Yep.
I told you to quit pulling my hair.
Pulling the what?
Pulling his
Well,
hair.
then whatever, man. Just quit doing it, you know.
Like his rain. So it was just a different way to carry them, you know. Yeah, and I didn't know if what was more dangerous, their hands being lethal weapons, or those lamb chops they were sporting.
The mutton chops were on point. I'm just saying.
They were.
Very 70s.
Very.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, when you read this, just the first page, if you're not used to hearing that kind of talk, it's kind of like, what? I watched Dobie Gillis, and I was taught by Maynard, so I knew that talk. Word.
Hey, the problem was so was the guy who wrote this,
Right.
because
Yeah,
it had
yeah.
to have been that long ago then when he wrote it.
And who wrote it?
It's Bob Haney.
Bob Haney.
Yeah. If this was difficult, go back and read the '60s Teen Titans because he
Yeah.
wrote those too.
Yes.
It's actually worse than this.
Oh,
wow.
man.
It is.
Yeah, you're talking about like a 40-year-old trying to write dialogue for a 16-year-old.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would probably hurt.
In the 60s.
In the 60s, yes.
Right.
And I'm all for, hey, whatever is happening at the time, but I think when writers rely heavily on language, they should realize that is going to change. No word stays relevant forever. I mean, thank God, because we'd all be saying psych and all that other kind of stuff still. But I think that was the only problem I had. I didn't mind it, but it definitely dated it. And some of it, when it was said, was kind of funny. Just the way it was said,
Yeah, laughing at, not laughing with.
Right. I said every time he was Clark, baby, it was like, oh, man. Yeah.
Groovy.
Well, like I said, I definitely do appreciate Damon a lot better after this. So.
Wow.
Ouch.
Well, I think in the stories, as much as they didn't want to be, they were exactly their dads. And it was like all 13 stories, that's what they were trying to buck against, was being like their dads. But yet you look exactly like them and you have exactly the same names and you fight exactly like them. So you are your dads, With Damien coming along, I know a lot of people don't like him, and hey, that's cool. But he's kind of got this attitude that's not Batman's. It's totally not Batman. And he doesn't look anything like his dad and doesn't really fight like his dad because he didn't grow up with him. So it's kind of like you have Batman's son, but he's not Batman. So that was kind of, I can appreciate that now about Damien. Because when you see the exact clone copy, it was just kind of like, this is a Batman story,
Right. You kind of start wondering what's the point here.
Right. And then they kind of seem whiny after that because it's like, well.
Well, and I think that's where you get, the whole deal is that what they're trying to do is appeal to a younger audience, except that you've got cranky old white guys writing this, and so in their eyes, the younger audience sounds whiny, and so that's how it comes across.
Yeah.
And they don't get the language shift either.
Yeah.
And so they're constantly doing it wrong, I guess. I can't. It's at least off in a more than subtle way.
Yeah.
So
yeah
it just doesn't
jive, man.
Nice. Well timed. Well timed.
Les?
Yes, Thomas, you were right. Go back and read the early Teen Titans comics, and it was thick with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But at this time also, you had similar stuff show up in Marvel Comics with Spider-Man and other teen purported characters. Was this not also, let me think, Teen Titans, something else that reflected this time? Oh, I'm sorry. What I was going to say was social issues.
Mm-hmm.
That was big at this time. And because of it, if you looked at each of the stories, there was a social issue. And somehow, unlike Lantern and Arrow, they resolved the social issue each time. The only story I can think of that did not was the Alien, which is so wacko.
The Iceman. That was kind of like, oh, we found out we were duped, so the whole town was pardoned. What? You froze people and killed people, and it's like, oh, sorry.
My bad.
We'll do better.
Seems like a good idea at the time. I mean,
We're sorry you lost everything, including your life, for a couple of years, but we'll do it better next time. Yeah, that one was kind of, huh. And I also didn't care for the Indian tribe one. I thought Batman was really a douchebag in that one, and should have been locked up for some of the things that he was agreeing to do. But at the end, the guy kills himself for Batman, and I was so wrong. Yeah, you think?
damn right you were.
You kidnapped this guy and starved him. Yeah, you were doing the right thing, guy. I mean, on what planet was that ever okay? You know? So I kind of thought that was kind of over a bet for lunch. They kidnapped this guy and starved him so he could get a dinner out of Superman, you know?
So basically ripping off My Fair Lady.
Yeah.
There you go.
Make this guy's life hell. Release pestilence and kill half their crop. And I mean, it was stuff that Lex Luthor would have done, you know? But yeah, he was okay with it because, I don't know. Why was that okay? You know? So that one was kind of weird.
The big problem I had with this was their explanation and how it all came to be. Going, really? You're going to toss fluff at me and say, this is what really happened? It's like watching Clue again and again and again.
Yeah.
It was absurd.
Now, by watching Clue again and again and again, you're talking about like watching a group of 7-year-olds play the game Clue, right? Because that's kind of the impression
I don't
got.
have any 7-year-olds nearby, but okay.
And I also didn't like how in a couple of the stories, it's like Batman had it all, or Batman Jr. had it all figured out, but it was, oh, wait a minute, and I'll tell you. And then you get to the end of the story, and it was kind of like the Scooby-Doo gang. Oh, I saw this clue, and, you know, it was like, where the hell did this happen? When the hell did this happen? I didn't see any of this happen. So I felt like, I don't know, kind of like you said, a lot of it was explained to us instead of showed to us. So, but I did like that they worked the detective work in there, but I would have liked to have seen that more than an afterthought.
Right. Not in a sense of, oh yeah, we did some detective work several pages ago that we didn't actually show.
Yeah.
No.
But now we make you feel like an idiot because it's the aha moment, you know. Didn't you see that airplane in the water? No, but I saw the 4 damn sharks you wanted me to see. You know?
It's all about priorities, man.
Mm-hmm.
Would I read them again? I would. Just because it was, some of them are cute. And like I said, some of it, with, you know, as much as I'm busting on the language, it was kind of funny. Kind of lighten the story a little, you know. I'm definitely gonna go check out Teen Titans now for sure.
Oh boy. I think I'm gonna pass on that one.
Well, you'll love the Cardi art. I'll just tell you that much. I mean, the stories themselves, a lot of them are really good, but yeah, the issues are, and I'm talking about the Teen Titans. The language, like I said, it sounds like someone pretty old trying to talk like they're young and hip. It's yeah.
So I'll definitely check that out.
But the art is great, and like I said, a lot of the stories are fun.
Well, the art in this was pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
But to a point, because like I said, I do think that the four main characters look exactly alike. I know that father and son are supposed to, but even to the point of, I think Bruce Wayne looked a lot like Clark Kent. So it was kind of hard to tell at times who was who.
A little bit. But I think
for the glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, the glasses are supposed to be your giveaway. But yeah.
Well, not when they're both Superman, though. Like the one where he was checking up on him. Sometimes it was hard to tell what was that, the dad? Or was that...
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it close up? Then you could definitely tell. But
Right. Well, the easiest way to give no hints as to who the mother is to make him look exactly like that. And apparently they wanted to disguise that somehow. They didn't want to introduce that idea.
they never showed the moms. It was always the back of their heads or cut off at the shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you lay something that heavy down, though, that would be canon. As much as they probably didn't want these stories to be canon. You give Batman a wife, yeah, they're going to be talking about that for a while.
Right, even an old Batman.
Yep. And when he tried to marry Catwoman, it would be like, now remember, his first wife. Nothing alike. Yeah, this one's got a face. And a head on her shoulders. How about that?
What about you, Thomas?
I really don't think I can add too much of what's been said. I mean, I enjoy these, but then again, I read these so long ago, so there's a nostalgia built in to there.
I can see that too.
But yeah, I mean, the criticisms are valid, but it was just a different world. It was a different world back then.
And it's perfectly okay to love something despite its flaws.
Yeah. I'm not saying it. I'm not, but it's just I mean, yeah, some of these were really, really weird, and you kind of wonder what the thinking was behind the plot and all that. But I mean, it's a nice way to kind of spend a few minutes and read a story. And I mean, we were still kind of in that whole. I mean, this is Bronze Age, and we're still kind of in. We're another 10 years before Crisis, and another 3 years or so after that before we even get anything like Dark Knight Returns and that kind of stuff. So I mean, yeah, this was kind of light, but it was fun. It was different. So, I mean, going back and reading these again, I still kind of enjoy these, but yeah, I mean, there's some problems with them. I don't think I had issue like Liz did. We're trying to figure out who's who, but I can see that to a degree. I can see where it is confusing but then again,
And again, she was slamming cold medicine pretty hard at the time.
Right, yeah.
well, that's true. So
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think they looked a lot alike. I mean, I agree with that. I don't know how. If I got confused by it, it wasn't more than once or twice. But yeah. But I can see it too, for sure.
it's because they hang out together all the time. They started looking alike.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I know being sick probably did play a lot into it because, like, the first 3 pages, I had to read over at least maybe 4 times to be like, okay, this is Superman. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, the first story where the whole you find out, and a little bit of a spoiler for a 50-year-old comic, that they had actually built this fake city for the kids to solve
Play
this
in.
mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh,
To essentially pretend to be superheroes in, and to
Yeah.
be reasonably safe doing so.
But they died. Both of them.
I,
Well. Aha! They didn't. Yeah. The way, I mean, the story starts off with 2 of them in the casket. And that was the part that was, I don't know if I missed a small print or something, but to me it was kind of like, wait.
it was just to grab your attention and say, oh,
Yeah.
it was just attention grabbing.
It was a
That's all.
Is that junior or senior in the Dolphins? Yeah. And I really did think the old guy was supposed to be Alfred, and it was like, that doesn't even look like Alfred. And then it was like, oh, because that's not Alfred.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't look like Alfred. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. So like I say, it took me, reading comprehension was not my friend in this.
That's okay. You can't always wait until you are feeling better to get on with stuff,
Right. So.
Or wait for the movie.
Right.
Careful
But
now.
don't
Don't throw
they
down
have
too
a-
many spoilers for next week.
Yeah.
I said they do have a Super Sons. I don't think it goes back this far. The one I remember watching was with Damien, so that doesn't go back very far at all.
Right.
But some of these it did read like Saturday morning cartoon kind of thing,
Very much so. Like I said, that same vibe from the Green Lantern, Green Arrow thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of the same.
And I like that they were
Idea.
standalones,
Yeah, that was cool. Different
Well,
stories.
yep. That was back when that was a lot more prevalent.
Yep.
To Liz's statement, would you read this again?
I
assume you were talking to Mike about this because I have read it.
Right, he was reading it.
I've read it several times. So
I mean, I'm not going to say no. I mean, I'm not in any rush to do so. It might be interesting to go back to it a couple of years from now and look at it again.
Knowing what you know now.
Just to sort of see how differently I see it.
Yeah.
With some distance. It takes a while for me to do stuff like that because my brain works in patterns. And so I pick up patterns easily. And so rereading the same thing would just give me the same impression at this point. But to get some distance from it and then look at it again, I wouldn't be opposed to doing that. Like I said, I like the stories themselves. I mean, some of them were, like Liz said, a little problematic, but they were at least interesting.
And the thing about these stories is, if you go back and think about it, there's no super villains in it, in any of them.
Yeah.
They, could have been easy for them to bring in like a Lex Luthor or something like that and have them, do something like that. But they stayed away from that. Now, whether that was intentional or not, we'll never know.
The story with Lex Luthor in it, notwithstanding.
Well,
but he wasn't the bad guy necessarily.
Yeah.
I think they stayed away from anything that would have nailed these stories down. I don't think they wanted it to be canon at all.
Right.
Well,
they even kind of said that up front.
Yeah.
And then the way they ended the whole thing, for sure.
Yeah.
Worked into that.
I think maybe using a villain or something would have changed their timeline they were on at that point, or,
Well, I don't know. We kind of go back to the whole thing with canon. It's like I
don't think they were thinking that much about canon.
They weren't. I mean,
canon came along a little later.
Yeah.
During this time when I was getting these, I mean, I think I've talked about before where, you pick up a Batman book and he's in a life-death struggle against Joker. Did you go to detective? He's trying to solve the Riddler's big puzzle and that kind of thing. So I mean, and they never really mention each other or anything like that. Every once in a while there might be some kind of mention of something that happened 4 or 5 issues back, and of course that's when you get the little box with the asterisk saying see issue so and so.
Right,
yeah,
go read this issue.
Yeah, so that's about as much canon as they were kind of doing, unless it was an actual storyline that went 2 or 3 or 4 issues, which those were kind of
rare.
They happened, but it was rare. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They didn't do that every summer like they do now.
Yeah.
Crossing over every book in the freaking universe.
Yeah. Or a storyline that literally lasts a year long. So, yeah.
That was weird when they did it with Crisis.
Yeah.
In the early 80s.
Yep. So
how about when they did it with Camelot 3000?
Yeah. See, I never read that. I would love to get my hands on it, but I think it's out of print. I would love to read that because that was something that I just totally missed when it came out. That was really not on my radar at the time.
Sure, I understand.
But yeah, I would like to check it out. If for nothing else, for the Brian Bolland art.
Oh yeah.
But I've heard some really good stories, so yeah, I definitely would like to check it out.
It did have its problems, though, too. To go so long between issues is still something that sticks in my craw.
So, final consensus: check it out, but just be
aware that it's a little strange. It's not. It ain't your kids' comic books, that's for sure.
Yeah, don't pick this up thinking you're reading John and Damian, but although it would be obvious if you actually look paying attention, but
you'll figure it out.
Yeah,
but they're not bad.
Yep.
Yeah, they're not. So.
Yep.
My recommendation is don't sit down and read it and think it's something you can cover in one reading.
Yeah.
Because it overpowers you.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. I couldn't do it all at once. I mean, there's a lot of pages for one.
True.
It was, yeah.
And also, you get the separate stories that don't necessarily tie together. It's easier to do it in pieces for sure.
Yeah.
I put it in my Kindle, and I was able to pick it up and down. And with them being shorter stories like that too, told in different parts, it's easier to put it down and come back to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Alrighty. On that note, we are going to take a quick break and be back with Geek News for You. And we're back, and it's time for Geek News for You. In this segment, we bring a couple of news items to the table for discussion. And for this week, it is Liz and myself. And Liz, would you like to go first?
Sure. I was just told about this, so if I sound like I'm faking, I am.
Wow.
You didn't really have to own that so early.
I'm excited about this, though. I didn't know about this until a few minutes ago, but
fresh off the press.
Yep, fresh off the press.
This just in. The popcorn you're eating has been pissed in. Film at 11.
I'm not wearing any pants. Film at 11.
I thought we covered this pre-show.
Rams plagued by fumbles as earthquakes rock Los Angeles. Film at 11.
Oh, man. Okay, anyways. I think we've talked about Sam Raimi on this show quite a few times, so
you have.
I was excited to hear he has another project coming up, and it's actually going to tap back into his, horror comedy. I love horror comedies. I think people feel weird laughing during a horror show, but, that's kind of, that's my humor. So. This one, he's going to be with director Paul Feig, and they're doing a like I said, it's a horror comedy called Suburban Hell. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do with this, because of course I loved what he did with Evil Dead. Kind of curious how he's going to work Bruce Campbell into this somehow. He's going to make an appearance somewhere in this, so that's kind of cool. We were just talking about him too. I think it's a good fit. The premise of the show is evil spirits are possessing people, and it looks like they piss off a suburban mom. So.
Oh shit! You mean the hero of this story is a Karen?
That's what it sounds like. Yes. Adapted from a book. Well, and it says that it's gender bending. I'd have to read more on that because I'm not sure. Maybe in the book, I guess it's maybe a dad they piss off. So.
Bend it like Beckham?
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, it sounds pretty cool. I think if anybody can put together a good horror comedy, it would definitely be Sam Raimi. And not only will we get something funny, we're going to get something very visually appealing. Paul Feig, of course, has done like Ghostbusters and that kind of stuff. I mean, what hasn't he done? But that's two pretty big names to pull together too, I would think. I mean, don't you guys think so?
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
Could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see if they're doing this for like Netflix or something, though.
That I'm not sure of.
Yeah, maybe it's a movie then.
The way I read it, it is it's going to be theatrical.
Cool.
Nice.
When I kind of like they haven't tied that with the streaming yet. Like I said, pretty cool. I don't think they've done a good horror comedy in a while.
Not an original one, anyway.
Yeah, not an
Or
original
at least
one.
not that's had any major success.
I know this week, Violent Night is finally hitting on Peacock, so I will finally get a chance to see that on the 20th. But they're saying that was a horror comedy, so maybe. But I myself, I haven't seen a good horror comedy.
Right. We can hope for Violent Night.
Yep.
Look forward to
Fingers
your
crossed.
report
Yep.
next week, hopefully.
Sure. Yep. News you can use. Yeah, definitely. Thanks for sharing this. I had no idea this was coming out, and I'm really looking forward to this. So
All right. Don't oversell it. Jeez.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
She's trying.
like I said,
I kind of thought you would.
I really like Sam Raimi. So
Really? I hadn't
yeah,
noticed.
just
Yeah.
a little, just a tiny bit.
It surprises me.
I think that's the whole reason I did like Doctor Strange more than I guess the rest of the world did. I thought it was pretty cool, and those visuals that I was talking about that he's so good at.
All right. We've already heard your review of this movie.
Yes.
Well, I'm saying I hope we see that in this also, because that's really what makes a good movie for him. So
Right. Something interesting and different.
yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah,
Cool.
pretty cool.
Okay. We go from, hey, that sounds cool, can't wait to see this, to what? Why?
Uh-oh.
Well, it sounds like Amanda Seyfried, and I'm sure I butchered her name, I'm sorry, is getting her chance to star on Broadway. She is attached to a musical adaptation of Thelma and Louise.
Oh, crap.
Really?
Oh, man.
How are they going to drive off into the Grand Canyon?
That was my first question. I was
Spoiler
like,
for
how
a
are they
35-year-old
into
movie.
this thing?
I got a feeling
With a song. of
they will
course.
drive away from the audience, and
Or
then
vice versa.
they'll pretend that they crashed.
Or have the car drive over the audience, up above the audience.
Oh, that's a lot.
Now you're just being cruel.
Well,
No, you're not. Come.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's going to be the opposite. The audience is going to be driving away from them.
yeah. I mean,
probably the intermission, but anyway.
yeah.
Well,
It was hard enough to set through as a movie. Could you imagine it as a musical?
Now, in all fairness, when Tom read that out loud, he didn't say music. Did you say musical?
it is a musical.
Oh,
Yes.
fucking hell. I was trying to save this.
Yeah.
They're so saving it.
Well,
The
no.
car wreck at
No,
the end
no.
was taking it.
The way you save this is you reanimate Dick Shawn and have him come out there as LSD.
Want to give the audience something before they watch it.
For those who are going, what? That's a producer's reference there.
Yeah. My first thought
I'm
was
so
the only way to
drunk.
save this is Springtime for Hitler. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
It's a
like I said,
bad
bring in
decision.
reanimated Dick Shawn as Hitler. Yeah,
Oh, goodness.
They lose me after the bunker scene.
that's right. The hippie Hitler, Lorenzo Saint Dubois.
Hitler. Oh, Lord.
So yeah, it sounds like they're doing this, and then according to the report, Evan Rachel Wood may be involved as well. So one would be playing Thelma, and the other one being Louise. But let me get back here.
I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
Callie Curry is attached to doing this. They're working on the musical adaptation, along with singer-songwriter Nico Case. And I don't know. It's just, I saw this. I'm like, okay. There is a. I don't understand this trend because I saw a commercial the other day here locally. One of the theaters, and I don't remember which one it is doing a run of Legally Blonde, the musical. So it's like, this is like a freaking trend. So it's, at some point they're going to turn around and make it into a movie. I mean, they did it with the producers and other films.
Yeah.
Which always cracked me up that they made a musical out of a movie and then turned around and made a movie out of the musical.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I have seen that work is with Wicked. That was done well though. So.
Well, some say the producers, the producers did well too. With the new version with Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick. Yeah.
Hmm.
I hadn't seen it, so I can't say one way or another. So.
Right. Me either.
I thought it was fantastic.
Okay.
Of course, Nathan Lane cracks me up anyway.
Nathan Lane's a funny guy.
Is he the one that does Olaf? Or am I thinking wrong guy? Hang on.
Who is Olaf?
Frozen. Disney.
Oh.
He's the snowman.
Yeah, I think he may.
Yeah.
If it wasn't him, it was somebody trying real hard to sound like him.
Yeah. I think it was him.
So there you go. There's possibility of a musical version of Thelma and Louise.
Sounds cheerful.
Yeah.
Olaf is Josh Gad. My bad.
Yeah, well, it's Josh Gad doing a pretty damn good Nathan Lane impersonation.
I was going to say, he sounds a lot like Nathan Lane, though, so.
He kind of does.
Okay. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
Don't think so.
Nothing here.
No.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go on to our regular shout-outs. First off, we want to thank Pop Goes to Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be part of a great group of fellow podcasts. We definitely recommend that you check them out. There will be a link in the show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who have spread the word of the fellowship on Twitter by retweeting our links. The best way to do that is search for Potter and Family, hashtag family, one word. Just scroll through that list, and whatever catches your eye, click on that link and download that episode. And we hope you have a good time listening to them, and hopefully you discovered another podcast to listen to. Thank you guys for your support as always. I want to thank Mary the Martyr for supplying the music to our podcast. There will be a link in our show notes where you can check out their music. Thank you guys as always. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today. We value your feedback. Any comments, questions, complaints, suggestions, observations, what have you, please send them our way. And there are several ways you can do that. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or you can go to the website and go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form you can fill out. Social media, we're on Facebook, the Fellowship of the Geeks. We're on Instagram at Fellowship Geeks. We're also on Hive Social. The same moniker, at Fellowship Geeks, and obviously we're on Twitter. Same thing, at Fellowship Geeks. Feel free to follow us all there. If you want to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found at Mikey Geek. Liz can be found at LN_Geek. Les may or may not be found at Fake Les Webster. And I could be found at Tom TC Geek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you take a couple of moments to rate and review our show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you listening.
Appreciate you listening, everybody. We do appreciate the support as always. Until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,